Good day, everyone. I want to share my thought process on how I caught a sell trade on XAUUSD today. So we all know that since let me just take all this thing off. So we should start from daily. So we all know that since last week we have been shorting XA, even though we have buys on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Thursday, Friday, start shorting XAUUSD. Why? Okay, let's start from there. So now let's start from there. Let me take all this guy off so we can all study together, right? So let me take this guy off. Yes. Let's start from here. So let me play this guy. So what can we see here? We have two ways to beat our buyers here. There are two things you are going to learn anytime you are watching my videos. Firstly, you are going to learn how to beat your buyers, because no matter I want to explain anything for you, I'm going to start with my buyers, which you are going to learn from it. And secondly, you are going to learn entry model. So now let's build our bias from daily. What can we find on daily? We have two ways of building bias. We have key levels and we have liquidity. So that is the two ways of us building bias. So what can we build? How can we build our biases? Firstly, if you look to the left hand side, you can see that we have an open close key level, two consecutive candle. Can you see? Two consecutive candle that sponsor these buys to the upside, because expected to the downside, and it's overlapping inside of an imbalance here, which is fair value. We have a very fair imbalance here. That price wants to come and imbalance. That is the first way of us building bias. Second, what are the second way? Let me take this guy out. What is the second way of us building bias? We can see we have single candle formation here, right? You see that the high of the candle has been swept. We know the low is our next target, right? So can you see that we can have the two ways of building bias, either with liquidity or with key level? And we can see here that the two ways have presented itself. One of the two can show up, but you can see that the two is already here. So we have liquidity and we have key level that price is reacting from. So now that price have reacted from this key level, reacts and close below, and also take this previous daily high, swipe this previous daily high, close below. We are going to this low. So now let's move to 4 hours. We want to see two things on 4 hours, either liquidity sweep and a break of structure, or a breakout to the downside. So we can know that 4 hours is aligned with daily. So before we start shorting. So now let's move to 4 hours. So what can we find on 4 hours? Let me move to the line chart. It's very clear, right? What can we find? We have a breakout here to the downside. So that shows that 4 hours and daily are in line. So anytime I want to build your bias, even though you are building your bias for monthly, you have to make sure your weekly is aligned with your monthly. If you are building your bias for monthly, you have to make sure your from weekly, you have to make sure that your weekly and daily is aligned. Anytime you are building your bias from daily, you have to make sure daily and 4 hours is aligned. Any higher time frame you are building your bias from, you have to make sure that the time frame lower is aligned with the time frame you're using to build your bias. You can see we have a sweep of liquidity here, then we have a break of structure to the downside here on 4 hours. So that shows that we are selling to get to the downside on 4 hours. So since then, we have been having sales to the downside. So now let's play price to know where we want to sell from. One, can you see? Paused. So since there, for our price come back to this for our QMR, which is quasi vice versa. For our come back to this QMR, which is A-shaped key level. A-shaped key level that sponsors sales to the downside, got expected to the upside, sponsor this buy to the upside, then got expected to the downside again, then come back and sponsor this sell. Can you see price come back there? Then we start shorting to the downside. So since then we have been having sales to the downside. Can you see the massive sell? Since then we have been having sales to the downside. So what happened today? Now let's go to the today price actions. Can you see the reason why we have been having sales? So can you see that this low price take out the external range, price come back for the internal. So price take out the internal rate, come back for the external. So that's how price move. Now, how did I got these sales I got today? So let me take all this guy off. So when we have sales, then when we look to the left, what can you find there? We have a V-shaped key level here. V-shaped key level. We have a V-shaped key level here that sponsor buys to the upside before. Can you see V-shaped key level? Disrespected, got disrespected to the upside, sponsor all these buys to the upside. Then price come back, tap into the V-shaped key, disrespected the V-shaped key level to the downside. Then price tap into the V-shaped key level, reject, and it's closing below. So now we are going to move to 4 hours. We know what we are looking for. Just two things. Don't have to do too much. You don't have to look for another thing. If it's not there, just wait. Come back the next day. So we are waiting for two things: either liquidity sweep and a break of structure, or a breakout. So we can know that 4 hours is aligned with daily. Then we start looking for our selling opportunity. Now let's move to 4 hours. What can we find on 4 hours? What can we find on 4 hours? What can we find on 4 hours? Let me take that out. So what can we find on 4 hours? After daily reject daily, we move to 4 hours. Let's move to line chart so we can see. What can you find on line chart? Line 4 hour breakout to the downside here on line chart. This is line chart. 4 hour breakout to the downside here on line chart. Can you see? So we have breakout to the downside on 4 hours. So that shows that we want to sell because 4 hour and daily is aligned. So now let's look for our selling opportunity. Let me play price. So what can you find there? What can you find there? What can you find there? Let me take this guy out. I don't want it to show first. After 4 hour breakouts, what can you find on 4 hours again? After we have a breakout to the downside, what can we find that this green candle come back and did? It swept this previous hour high. The low is still standing. So we know we know in our mind now that the low is our next target because the high has been swept. So the low is still standing. Let me mark the low. I want to mark the low out. Yes. So the low is still standing because the high has been swept. Now that the high has been swept, the low is still standing. We are looking for our confirmation entry. What is our confirmation entry? We want 1 hour high to be swept, then the low is still to be standing. How? We want to move to 1 hour. We want to see something like this. I always repeat this. I want to see something like that. 1 hour high will be swept. This second candle will sweep the high. We sweep the previous candle high. And the low will still be standing. Price won't sweep the low. The low will still be standing. Then, if you move to the line chart, you see that price have created a shape key level here for us. Price have created a shape key level here for us. What you are going to see next is that the next candle that is going to open is going to tap into the a shape key level and will start dumping to the downside. So that is our confirmation entry, which I have showed all several times. If you have been following me, you will have studied this confirmation entry several times because. So now let's move to 1 hour. So let's move to 1 hour. Oh, these guys keep running. Not this side I want to use. Just keep running. So when we move to 1 hour, what can we find on 1 hour? See that this 1 hour high has been swept, right? This 1 hour high has been swept. This low, because this low it does not have wick. So this low should be our next target. They are targeting for price to come back and react to for price to come back and take out. So the high has been swept, the low must go. Where do we want to enter from? The A. This is where we want to enter from. This one we want to enter from. And price play out from there. So how did I got my own entry? So when price come back there, then I move to 15 minutes. This is 15-minute time frame. Let's play price. Let's play price. Can you see? Price buy the first round. This is not where I want to use. Yes, this is where I want to use the A-shape key level. Can you see? Price sell the first round, right? But we have internal range liquidity here that is still standing. this internal range liquidity close to these key levels. You can see close to this key level here, close to this A-shaped key level. So that's where I want to sell from. So now, sorry, what happened? Okay. So that's why I want to, why this guy keep running? So that's where I want to sell from. So now let's play price. Can you see price have get to that key level now? Right on 15 minutes. Are we going to set limit direct? Me, I like confirmation entry. Even though it's 1 minute, I will look for confirmation entry. So now I move to, that is why I use 5 minutes. I move to 5 minutes and I see my confirmation entry there. My confirmation entry did not change. What is the confirmation entry? The high of the previous candle will be taken, but the low will still be standing. Simple and very effective. Can you see? The low is still standing, right? So now let's mark our A-shaped key level out, because that is where we want to see price play out from. Now let's set our limit. But me, I didn't target the 4-hour low. This is where I target. That is 1 to 4 hour. So now let's play price. Let's see what price do. Can you see snapper entry? Boom, I'm out. Can you see? I'm out. I'm out. So that's just it. That is how I got my 1 to 4 RR on XAUUSD today. So thank you guys. I love you guys. I want you guys to come back to the video and learn from it. You learn how to build your bias and your entry model. And also, please help me share to others so others can learn from it. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.